Hi, this is a message to Britain's Parliament, UK Parliament, in regards to Venezuela and this present government stance, with really very little voice, certainly not loud enough voice, from other members of Parliament in regards to Britain's present support for the CIA chosen leader of Venezuela, who's pronounced himself unelected President of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. And the conspiracy and persecution actually against President-elect President Maduro, and I'm sharing some information here because you people of Parliament, members of Parliament, you need to watch this video that's been presented here by the last American vagabond, who presents very well researched and authenticated information here in all his videos, and the information he shares is accurate, and President Maduro himself here is making some very startling juxtapositions in terms of the actual validity of America's concerns for the Venezuelan people. Okay? Now, one of the points he makes is what's going on in Colombia at the moment with mass graves, mass murders by drugs cartels, as is shown here. US laments human rights in Venezuela, US allied Colombia descends into drug-fueled humanitarian crisis. The dichotomy between Washington's relationship with Venezuela and Colombia is yet another clear example that the public justifications for the US's Latin American policy are little more than window dressing for the US-backed expansion of neo-fascist governments throughout Latin America. So the next video you all need to watch is this, which is from Democracy Now! Dems accuse Trump admin, and this is Jan Schawakowski, of state-sponsored child abuse. That's what she states. State-sponsored child abuse. This is migrant children, people who have arrived legally as refugees, applying for the status of refugee at the American checkpoint. They've not illegally crossed the border. They have gone through due process, arrived at the border, asking for refugee admittance to the US. The children have been separated, thousands of children, and the American state, the authorities, do not know where those children are because they took no records. There's no record, but those children have been handed out to all and sundry. We don't know who, and they're now saying that they cannot get that they cannot actually track those children because they've got no records. They didn't take any records whatsoever and just handed them to strangers. Some of them perhaps foster carers, perhaps some of them distant relatives. Who knows? Who knows who they've been handed to? And with the levels of child abuse presently going on in this world, what has happened to those children? Unregistered, undocumented children being handed over to who? All and sundry. That's the America you are supporting, British Parliament. That's the America that you are supporting, Theresa May. You disgusting, despicable, criminal woman. That is what she is. And every single member of Parliament that sits and tolerates to be presided over by a criminal Prime Minister who has turned her back on democracy. She has turned her back on democracy in order to support the absolute lunacy that is now being threatened against the Venezuelan people. The British government denying Venezuela the right to have their money, their gold, in this time, in their hour of need, and then offering them 50 million in aid. How disgusting. You steal their money, billions of their money that Europe and Britain will not actually return to them. That is their money. And then you offer 50 million, which of course is going to refuse it. They don't need 50 million in aid, do they? They need their billions returned to them. That is rightfully theirs. So that they can get themselves out of this mess that has been created, we know, by USA-led sanctions against Venezuela. And why? Why? Why is Britain, America, France, German governments all gathering to attack Venezuela, to attack their president-elect, but at the same time they're supporting Saudi Arabia and its horrific attacks against the Yemeni people and the starvation of millions of children that the British public and the public all over the world are being asked to donate to charities in order to, in a vague hope that some food might get through to those people, that might get through the Saudi blockades, that are actually preventing aid, humanitarian aid, to be given to the children in Yemen. But we don't hear nothing about it. But instead you people are all gathering round because you're so worried about Venezuela. What? America's worried about Venezuela? Is it really worried about Venezuela? Look how it treats the children. The children from fleeing from the horror and oppression that has been inflicted by USA-backed leaders with their evil military coups and their evil prohibition drug wars that they have created directly through their prohibition. Feeding crime and criminals, creating crime and criminals with their evil legislations against natural substances. This madness has to end. And British Parliament, if you can stand by this and keep your mouth shut, then I hope you're prepared for the hell that is awaiting for you after your short time on this planet. Yes, and I do speak for universal light being, having been a witness to it. Oh, but I'm mad. Well, please avoid going to the church. Please avoid kneeling before your queen, who apparently has been ordained by God. Well, I've witnessed the light being, the God, apparently the intelligence that you all apparently worship as Christians. You're a set of fucking liars and evil bastards. I am disgusted, absolutely disgusted to witness the support that this country is given, my country is given to evil despots. What you have done to Iraq, the children of Iraq, with your depleted uranium, you disgusting, despicable people. How can any of you look at yourselves in the mirror? Because it is on your heads now. Whatever happens to Venezuela on the strength of the support you are giving to a set of criminals. And the fact that you are all prepared to sit and be governed by a criminal, a woman. Nobody's talking, are they, about the 120,000 British citizens that have been murdered by Theresa May and David Cameron with their austerity, that have been condemned by the United Nations, that just recently another 8,000 British citizens have died directly after being refused, within 6 weeks of being refused disability benefits. 8,000, that's recently. Every year. It is absolutely outrageous. You're a set of evil scum. And now you've took us out of the EU. Oh, you've got nothing whatsoever. You're not even slightly prepared. How dare a government put a referendum to the people, put them at risk, Tory leaders, Tory ministers, employing Cambridge Analytica to lie to people, to target them on their Facebooks and Twitter, to spread malicious lies and frighten people, fearmonger. That is what they did. And lie to people in order to persuade them to vote for what? What, to vote to leave the EU when the very parliament that created that referendum had no plan whatsoever of how to feed the people, how to provide their medications once we were out of the EU. Oh, they were hoping to get a deal, weren't they? A cushy deal where, yeah, all right, then we'll pay a bit of money and you just give us the thing. No, no, we're not going to uphold workers' rights. No, we are going to scrap human rights. And we also want to scrap the environmental protection laws. And the EU saying, no, 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 no. Okay, if you want any benefits of this market, there are certain criteria that you have to stand by. And that does include upholding human rights and workers' rights and protecting the environment. And if you can't do those things, then I'm sorry, there's no deal. I tell you, it's going to be bad. It's bad. What they have done, what this Tory government has done to this country, I tell you, an invading army could not have done worse. The amount of people that have suffered and died, the amount of people homeless on the streets, and they have the audacity to complain against President Maduro, who is actually working to provide homes for people, to provide employment, to provide social security, to provide healthcare. But the whole world is standing against him. And those same people who are standing against him are supporting Saudi Arabia with its atrocious human rights records. They're supporting Israel with its atrocious human rights violations. You people, I tell you, you're a set of hypocrites. You people in Parliament, as I say, every single one of you who do not open your mouths, who do not demand the arrest and charges against Theresa May and members of her Tory government for the damages that they have inflicted, for the very fact that they have turned their backs on democracy itself. And for what? For nothing more than Venezuela's resources that the corporate entities that they support, this government, France, Germany, America, the corporate entities that they support, so that they can rob the Venezuelan people and send the people back to the shanty towns. No more education for you, no healthcare for you, no social housing for you, no living wage for you. Back to your shanty towns, you fucking set of filth. And anybody who can call themselves a Labour MP who still stays sat in that Parliament after that bitch Theresa May has voiced her support for that imposter Guaido, I'm sorry, you're not an MP. In fact, you're barely a human being. The fact that you can stay sat in that Parliament, absolutely disgusting to the lot of you. And as I say, this is what you're supporting. The America that tears vulnerable children from their parents and cannot even tell us where the fuck they are. Well, shame on the fucking lot of you.